Hello and welcome back to the channel today. My name is Andy and today we are on F1 2017 with something just a little bit different from the norm. This is the start of a new series of videos that will look back over the history of motorsport itself, using the games that we love to play as its basis. We're going to start with 12 classic cars, the same 12 cars that are available within F1 2017. Before moving on to other cars from the likes of Project Cars and Assetto Corsa as well. Before we get into today's episode though, of course, if you do like any of the content you see on the channel, if you're enjoying what you're watching just now, you do enjoy it by the time the video is finished, do hit the subscribe button so you know when the next ones are coming. Also leave a like, that really does help me out as well, and leave any comments below as well. I want to know what is your thoughts about the fantastic car that we're going to be talking about today. Now obviously for today's episode then, on F1 2017, we're going to start with what is the most dominant car ever in the sport. It's the 1988 McLaren MP4-4, powered by the V6 1.5 litre Honda turbo engine. Now 1998 was the last year of the turbo cars. Most teams had already started going to the normally aspirated V8 Judd and Cosworth engines in anticipation for the 1989 rule changes which outlawed the turbo cars. McLaren, however, was one of the teams that decided not to do so and even acquired the Honda engines for the first time for the 88 season after a disappointing spell with the Porsche built TAG V6 turbos. Also joining the team at that time to join up with the driving lineup alongside current championship winning driver Alain Prost was the Brazilian sensation that most people see as being the best driver ever in the sport. It is of course Ayrton Senna. Now I'm going to start off with the stats of this car before I get into anything else, some of the stories that you may or may not know behind the car. The highest win percentage of any car in history, 93.75% of the races entered, this car won. 15 out of 16 races for the 1988 season. Senna took 8 of them, Prost took 7. The car also took 15 out of 16 pole positions. Now this is where Senna showed his absolute dominance in qualifying. He took 13 of those 15 poles. That's 13 out of 16 races, a record at that time. And the season would also see both drivers take a 1-2 on the podium 10 out of 16 times, with 12 front row lockouts and 10 fastest laps. And out of the possible 36 podiums that they could have got between them, Prost and Senna got 25 out of 36 possible podiums that the car could have taken, and a year that was just utter dominance for the Woking side, as they took both the Drivers' Championship with Senna and the Constructors' Championship as well, with the most points acquired at that time as well. So the car just broke records as it went along. Now a little bit behind the car real quickly, it was designed by Gordon Murray and Steve Nichols, and it was at a time where most teams were just using the 87 car redeveloped in anticipation for the new rules. McLaren made a completely brand new car for the season. It adopted the low-line design which Murray had worked on at Brabham with little success, albeit that was due to its 4-in-a-line BMW turbo engine. The concept made for a really clean aero of the car. It gave a 30% reduction in the front area of the car, and it made it so much more aero efficient, despite the fact that a lot of people say it didn't actually have a lot of downforce. And as I say, it was also the first year in the McLaren-Honda partnership, and obviously many people that watch it nowadays know McLaren-Honda for GP2 engines, as Fernando Alonso likes to call it. But back here, Honda were building what was the best engine on the grid. By far, hands down, no one could touch it. And they left Williams, as I say, to join McLaren for this year. And Honda didn't rest on their laurels either. They made a completely brand new engine for this year as well, despite the new rule changes outlawing turbos for next season. There had been some changes over turbo boost and fuel allowance and maximum fuel that you could hold on board, so Honda made a new engine designed to maximise that as much as possible. But the results either way were just absolutely stunning for the team and for its drivers, as mentioned with those records before. Senna took the opening race in Brazil before the teams headed to Imola, and I mentioned in this one because this shows the real dominance of the car. In qualifying, Senna took pole, as obviously we expect to do, 0.70 a second ahead of Prost, which was a pretty decent margin in itself. Third place was the defending champion Nelson Piquet in the Lotus 100T, powered by the same Honda V6 Turbo. Piquet, three-time world champion, so no slouch, 3.3 seconds behind Senna's qualifying lap. That is light years in racing terms. That is just unbelievable. And then on race day, Senna and Prost lapped the entire field with at least 6 to 7 laps to go as well. Just unbelievable pace. Now, you may think, oh, the Lotus was obviously slow. No, absolutely not. In fact, through the speed traps down at the Imola circuit, the Lotus was actually the faster car in the speed traps. What made the difference was that design of that McLaren. It was more aero efficient, it was faster through the corners than the Lotus, and this made it so dominant. Now obviously 88 is also the year of the lap that we all, well even now, even those that weren't around at the time, I was only one, and even I know the lap. Senna's qualifying lap at Monaco, 1988, where he was nearly a second and a half faster than Prost, who himself was a second and a bit faster than Berger's Ferrari in third. And it's in that race, Senna was dominating, he was over 50 plus seconds clear, 12 or so laps to go. He's asked to slow down, to bring the car home. And he crashed. Crashed at the Portier, the corner just before the tunnel. They say that because of the radio message he lost concentration. He was in a zen-like state at that time, and he lost his concentration and crashed. The story is he was so annoyed he didn't even go back to the garage. He went to his apartment that he had in Monaco and didn't come back to the garage until they were just packing up for the end of the race. Such was his rumoured annoyance of what had happened. Prost would go on to take the win. Obviously, he was in second at the time. But the other race, and this is the reason why I'm not at Monaco doing this. No. We're at Monza, home of the Italian Grand Prix, home of Ferrari, the Tifosi. You might be thinking, Andy, why are you taking the McLaren to Monza? Why not Monaco for this one? There's a McLaren video to do with Senna coming later at Monaco. The reason for Monza is that in 1988, this round of the championship was the only one that McLaren didn't win. The race seen Prost retire with an engine failure. It was the only engine failure McLaren had that year. They could have done that in the last 3 years while having Honda engines. And Senna himself was winning with laps to go, mere laps to go, when he retired. He came up to the first chicane to lap the Williams of Jean-Louis Schlesser, who was substituting for Nigel Mansell, who was ill. Senna went down the inside. Schlesser caught the grass, lost control. Senna thinks nothing of it. But Schlesser, the Frenchman, he managed to catch it, and the car then veered into the rear off the McLaren and broke the suspension, pitching the Brazilian out of the race. And it meant that the McLaren would not get the 100% record. In a touching moment, and an emotional moment, you could say, possibly it was fate, the two Ferraris would there finish that race in first and second with Gerhard Berger and Michele Alboreto in front of the adoring Tifosi fans. What makes it more emotional though? It was 1 month since the founder of Ferrari, the legendary Enzo Ferrari, had passed away at the age of 90. So this was the first Italian Grand Prix since, and the Ferraris took first and second. Some say poetic justice. Who's to know? But what we're going to do today is we're just going to run a quick 5-lap race in this fantastic car, spec race. I'm going to start last, 20th. How far can we get up the grid in 5 laps? Can we get onto the top step of the podium? Can we do what Prost couldn't do because of the engine failure and what Senna couldn't do because of the incident with Schlesser? It's all for a bit of fun, but we're going to remember this great car as we do it at the same time. So let's get straight in to the action. So here we are on the grid at the historic Monza circuit, waiting for the 5 red lights to go on. And away we go. As you can see, we're starting 20th, a little bit of wheel spin, getting sideways. 20 MP4-4 Honda powered turbo cars are in about 650 horsepower, heading down towards turn 1. Heavy on the brakes. Oh, it's going to get tight here, so it is. I did have the replay angle for this, but then I realised if I do that I can't commentate over it, so I'll try and fix that for next video. You'll learn on the fly. After the first 2 turns, we've made up a few places to 17th, and we are flying up behind the next guy in 16th, up to the second chicane. We're going to get the brakes early, down to second. Bit squirrely. You can hear the turbo boost. You can hear the wastegate just popping off. It's just, the sounds, even in a game, sounds phenomenal. He's getting a bit squirrely. He's not giving me much room to play with. Just need to follow him behind. And away we go down the back end of the track, down the long back straight, catching up the slipstream underneath the old historic banking. There we go. And then into the Ascari chicane. We're down to third. Okay, it's a corner cut. But we're just having some fun here. And we go down the back straight towards the Parabolica. Just look how minimalistic the steering wheel is, and then as we go through the series just compare that as well to the other cars. They're really slow at a Parabolica, weren't they? So 15th in end of lap 1, but yeah, look out for that in the future videos to see how much the steering wheels develop over the years. Oh, we're getting brave there. Nearly 3 wide, no, I'm going to back out. We're still taking 14th. And we're up another spot. We're going to get another one in a minute. Oh. Is he going to let me through? No, he's going to cut me off. Just look at the exhaust flame spit every time you change gear as well sometimes. These cars are so awesome. Just absolutely amazing. And the drivers themselves, the bravery needed driving these things, over 1,000 plus horsepower. Some even say 1,500 horsepower in qualifying. Qualifying slicks as well normally, really sticky tyres designed to last just like 4 laps, 3 laps. No power steering, manual H-shift gearboxes, semi-automatic flappy paddles were being developed. Ferrari would bring that in from the following season in '89 and then start becoming the norm from about 92, 93 almost. There's just so little to the cars, and yet big massive tyres. You're sitting so low, the tyres actually look huge. As we made up in our few places as I've been talking. And there's another one as well, out the Ascari chicane. Getting sideways as we put the power down. And we're up to 8th, but I love these old cars, you know. New cars are cool in what they do, apart from that friggin' halo. But these cars are just... I love the history. I love the way they look, so simplistic. As much as I love technology as well, this was just car, downforce, power, bravery. That was it, you know. Just absolutely brilliant. And the drivers at this time, you had Senna, Prost, Mansell, Piquet, Berger. Alboreto was a good driver as well. Not a few more years to go before the likes of John Alesi came along. You had, punted in the back of him there, Ricardo Patrese was about. All sorts of drivers at this time. Just an incredible time in F1. And obviously the advancement in the technologies as we go along was incredible as well. Here we're on lap 3 now, and we are up to 7th. Getting sideways as we come out of the Ascari chicane. I'm going to stop being nostalgic for a second, I'll be talking all night. Coming down to the Parabolica. Look at the flame spits there. Oh, this is absolutely phenomenal. We get by another one into 6th, and we're going to get a run on 5th place as well again. Out of the parabolic, we just seem to be much better. Side by side. Oh look, it looks like it's Senna. And I've got a blue and white and red helmet like Prost, so what's that tell you? You actually would have seen that in the photo as well at the start. As I was talking at the beginning. We're up to 5th now, with just this lap and the next one to go. Up through the gears one more time. Obviously by this stage in the turbo era, of course, I've been saying around about 1200 plus horsepower. By this stage they had really tuned them down, safety reasons, but when turbos first came in the sort of earlier 80s, they were throwing out those sort of figures. The power that they had, just to punch you out the corner, was incredible. I mean, it might say it was only 6, 7, 800 horsepower, or whatever it might be, but that turbo made it feel double that, quite easily. And it's no wonder they had to start pegging them back. I mean, the Lotus 98T is seen as being the last of the true, full-on, fire-spitting, full boost, 5-bar. Oh, just, you know, that one's coming later. Once we get to, ran a bit wide. Once we get later on in the series, we're going to go to that, because that was another Senna car as well, obviously. The 98T Senna drove that before he moved to McLaren, so that one's coming too, but that one was seen as having 1500, some people say, in qualifying. Whether that's true or not, we'll never know. The cars are just phenomenal, and change the gears, there you go, they spit a flame again from the back of the car in front. We're hoping to get on the podium here. Going to go down the outside. Can we hold it? Will we contact? Oh, a little bump in a second. But we have taken 3rd. Another decent move. So we're not going to get 1st. Going to be too far away for that. Should be able to take 2nd. Should be able to get this guy here. Ah, good run out the corner. Plenty of traction. Away we go. Into 2nd. Into the Ascari, as I say, we're 5 seconds behind. Okay, even with a corner cut. Oops. We're not going to catch up now. Last lap, so. It's a 2nd place, not quite enough to get to 1st. But it was enjoyable driving this fantastic car, even in gaming form nonetheless. And being able to research the history on it as well was just absolutely brilliant as well. And I'm looking forward to doing the rest of the series, but that is coming up to the end of the video now as we cross the line. As I said earlier on, if you have enjoyed it, hit a like, subscribe, but until next time, I hope you enjoyed, and until I see you again soon, take care. Ta-ra for now.